Welcome to Fatal Fortunes,
a show about people, places, and misfortunate events.
Today I finished my last law school exam.
Woo!
So I am basking in the glory of that today. I do have a bar prep workshop at 10 a.m. tomorrow.
No.
And have to move all my fucking shit out of my house. So I'm just trying to be positive tonight, y'all.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe bleep me. Because I guess the later
Beat me
it gets...
if you want to reach me.
Yeah, maybe bleep me because I think my mouth just gets dirtier as the night goes on. You know, it's 8 o'clock now. Who knows where we'll be by the end of this episode on the late, great techno pop artist. Is that how you would describe her? Sophie.
I'd say more hyperpop.
That's
yes.
a genre?
Oh, yeah. Charlie XCX.
I can't take it. I can't take it anymore.
You listen to Charlie XCX? You've listened to hyperpop.
Only when the gays make me.
Yeah, make you? Whoa. I'll have you know I'm in the 0.1% of Charlie listeners. This year was big for me and Charlie. Like, I'm up there. You know how we start every episode, though?
And Nathan, how do we start every episode?
We talk about what's going on in the year of Sophie Xeon's birth, 1986. So here's what's happening. We've got Aruba becomes independent. Yay, Aruba. New York City subways hit $1. But also the city passes gay lesbian rights legislation, so
Slay.
It's a, win and a lose. First U.S. federal holiday honoring Martin Luther King.
Slay.
Dr. Martin Luther King. There you go. Not so fun, not so slay. USS Challenger disaster.
Fuck.
You know what's wild? I think I read somewhere, I don't know if this is a conspiracy or not, but I read somewhere that Big Bird was offered to go on the Challenger. Because, they had, a crew of everybody. They had a teacher, they had, whatever. So they wanted to put Big Bird on. And, imagine how much more that would have affected children across the country if they watched live on TV Big Bird burst into flames. I
think they would have had to kill off the character.
Exactly. They couldn't, And I know Sesame Street's talked about death before, but never of a Muppet. Damn. That would have been rough.
It's rough thinking about right now.
We Are the World wins a Grammy in 1986. Star-studded Quincy Jones track there. Clint Eastwood becomes the mayor of Carmel?
Yeah.
California?
Yeah.
Why? Why did he do that?
Yeah, I don't know. But I've also seen that. After
Weird.
The psychic told me I was a reincarnation of Princess Diana and Clint Eastwood, I had to do some deep dives.
How are you
A psychic genuinely
reincarnated?
told me that before my Princess Diana spiral, and right after that I bought my first shirt.
But, how do you get reincarnated as someone who's still
No one
kicking?
alive, yeah.
What the Halley's Comet is the closest it's ever been in 1986.
What if Halley's Comet is going to take us all out?
That'd be cool. The Chernobyl disaster happens in 1986. Also pretty dark. Going postal starts occurring in 1986. Tina Turner is inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Whitney, late great, Fatal Fortune, Whitney Houston wins Best Music Video for MTV at the VMAs. Haha, suck it MTV. Oprah and Joan Rivers premieres. Big year for talk shows in 1986. For movies, we got Top Gun, we got Stand By Me, Blue Velvet, and Platoon. For music in 1986, we got Billy Joel's The Bridge, Paul McCartney's Press to Play, John Lennon's Menlove Avenue, Madonna's True Blue, Bon Jovi's Slippery When Wet, Paul Simon, Graceland, and Beastie Boys come out with License to Ill.
Nice. In 1986, the song You Can Call Me Al came out.
Wow.
It's on that Paul Simon album.
There we go. And that's you. That's what you were named after.
If we could include that without losing all the money on this episode, we would.
We would. But we're not. We're not going to do that.
But we're not. You can sing it in your head. You better know that fucking song.
Yeah. Also, what happened in 1986, my parents graduated high school. Births in 1986. Ruby Rose, Lady Gaga, Amanda Bynes, Amber Heard, Lena Dunham, Robert Pattinson, Megan Fox, Ryan Coogler, Waka Flocka Flame, Shia LaBeouf. I had to say the whole name. It puts some respect on that man's name. Shia LaBeouf, Ashley and Mary-Kate Olsen, Kat Dennings, Solange, Lindsay Lohan, Peyton List, Christina Perry, Usain Bolt, Armie Hammer, Florence Welch, Shaun White, Jenna Marbles, Amelia Clark, Drake, your top listener, Schoolboy Q, Josh Peck, Kit Harington, and Ellie Goulding. What a year.
It's a really mixed bag of people.
Right? What a year. Mm-hmm. We lost them, though. We lost Donna Reed, L. Ron Hubbard. God.
We're better off.
Yeah,
we the people
that's all right.
Better off. Yeah, that's okay.
As I said before, the Challenger crew were also lost this year. Elizabeth Smart, Georgia O'Keeffe, James Cagney, Cary Grant, Desi Arnaz, and Andrei Tarkovsky.
Damn, Cary Grant died that long ago?
Right? But I feel like he lived pretty long. I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking that he's...
Speaking of Challenger, though, I know that we've talked about a lot of dark things on this show, and it kind of just gets darker over time. I still couldn't do an episode on the Challenger. Like, that would be too sad for me.
It's been done before also, I feel like, by somebody. So you can find it if you want out there. But yeah.
You can find like a 6-7 parter on the Challenger.
We're not doing it.
We came here to talk about Sophie. Does Sophie use she, they pronouns?
So this is what I looked up. Sophie, for a long time, was using she. And then, like, towards the last years of their life, they started using they, them pronouns. And I think that...
Like, fuck, have I been fucking up?
No, I think that it is like a they, she.
But also on the other side, I don't want to spend my entire life being combative.
Yeah. And that's why I use they.
Being like, don't tell me that.
Because if I don't know for sure what this person wants to be called, they is a very safe bet. Rarely is anyone offended by they.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't go back and call, like, Harry Grant they.
No. Well, actually, I would. We came here to talk about Sophie. And Sophie was born on September 17th, 1986, in Glasgow, Scotland. Sophie kept their family life fairly quiet, but we do know is that their father was an inspiration to them. He would play these cassettes of modern electronic music on car rides and even take Sophie to raves. Cool dad.
No, that's not cool dad behavior.
Nah, that's like cool dad.
Astroworld dad behavior.
But if you should know anything about Scotland, their club scene is really good. Sophie even said later that they would end up stealing the tapes out of their dad's car so they could listen more. And so then for their 8th birthday, they received a keyboard. And from then on, all they wanted to do was make music. This is at the age of 9 or 10, and Sophie's expressing that they want to produce electronic music and drop out of school entirely. Obviously...
Did you say 9 or 10?
Yeah, that's right. You know, unfortunately, parents are not too fond of this idea. So Sophie has to finish school. Sophie finishes school. The whole time, still making music all through this time, with them regularly announcing, I'm just going to lock myself in my room until I've made an album. And a quick anecdote is that Sophie's half-sister asked them to DJ their wedding, having no idea what Sophie had been making. And if you've ever listened to Sophie, that must have been quite the wedding. That must have been really fun.
Yeah.
But probably not what their half-sister was expecting. Because of this, though, not only was Sophie honing in on their production skills, but their skills at being a phenomenal DJ as well. Right after high school, and not bound by education, Sophie joined a band. So along with Sophie, you got Sabine Gottfried, Matthew Lutz-Kenoy, and Marcella Desi. They formed this band called Motherland in the late 2000s. And this band has scrubbed most of their existence from the internet, but they played shows in Berlin and the UK from 2008 and 2009. In these demos, the visceral drums, angelic synths, they're really felt throughout the entire thing. And in 2010, Sophie remixed the electronic duo Light Asylum's track, A Certain Person, and this remix was uploaded to Light Asylum's SoundCloud and then released on an EP of theirs in 2011 called Intention. That same year, Sophie scored a film called Dear Mr. Mrs. from the Netherlands. Shout out the Netherlands. Oh yeah, Sally, shout out the Netherlands. Then in 2012, that remix from Light Asylum was so widely liked that a DJ mix was made on clear vinyl. I'd love to get that, but there are only 300 copies made.
Oh my god, I think you could do it.
The following year, in 2013, Sophie meets Detroit DJ Jeffrey Spire in Berlin, and together they create a duo called Spire, and released a CD where Sophie let their vocals be heard for the first time. Sophie became involved with artists affiliated with the PC Music label after encountering Duck's Kids, a project between A.G. Cook and Danny L. Harle.
I don't know who any of those people are, I'll be honest.
That's fine. They're in, the hyperpop sphere, and you had never heard of that before today either. The first releases they had under the name Sophie came in 2013 with the single Nothing More to Say, with the B-side being Eh.
Oh, that's my favorite one. Eh is my favorite song of hers.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And this single had vocals sampled from the UK artist Jade Green and was widely enjoyed by the electronic world and Al. So there you go. High praise. Later that year, they would release that single's follow-up, Bip, which featured vocals from former Motherland track member Marcella Desi. Pitchfork later ranked Bip as number 56 on its list of best tracks from 2010 to 2014. And then in 2014, they collaborated with both Japanese pop singer Kyari Pamyu and the PC music artist A.G. Cook. With A.G. Cook, along with U.S. artist Hayden Dunham, they released Hey Cutie. It was featured on Dunham's album entitled Cutie, based off a made-up energy elixir called Cutie. That same year, Sophie releases their song Lemonade, and this one is huge, even huger than anything they made before. And this was combined with the B song being Hard, and Lemonade ended up being featured in a commercial for McDonald's. Both tracks chart on Billboard, and Lemonade was included in the year's top 10 singles. Early in Sophie's career, some critics were upset that they were using a woman's name to promote their music. This is because at the time, Sophie had not come out as a trans woman, so to everyone else, it looked like a man culture vulture taking advantage of the electronic music world. Obviously, these accusations against them are unfounded, but they had fun with them, even having drag performer Ben Woozy pose as them for a Boiler Room set while they dressed up
awesome.
As a bodyguard. It is so funny.
That's awesome.
Like, it's all a bit. Watching the video, you can see, like, it's a very clearly fake Sophie. She looks beautiful, but then someone else comes on stage, and then this really, like, tough-looking person in a suit comes out and ushers them off, and it's Sophie. It's like a blink and you miss it moment.
We're going to have to find that and put it on the Instagram at
Yeah.
Little Fortunes.
And this video is so funny because Ben, the drag performer, isn't doing anything. Like, they just pushed play, and he's just up there mimicking DJing. You really got to do a double take because they look really, really mad at the fake audience member who appeared on stage. And then when asked about why they chose the name Sophie, they said this: "It tastes good and it's like moisturizer."
Blech.
What's wrong with moisturizer? You don't like having soft hands? Come on.
They actually bullied me in elementary school, calling me ashy-legged Allie. So.
Oh my god. Damn. Middle schoolers are so mean.
I know.
That's fucked up. I'm
So,
sorry.
Yeah.
A year later, it is now 2015, and it's an even bigger moment for Sophie because in March, Charlie XCX announces that her new EP will be primarily produced by Sophie.
Slay.
And honestly, it's a big year for Charlie too. Vroom Vroom is an amazing song.
Yes.
If you haven't heard,
Yeah.
you should definitely listen to it. Because if you do listen to it, it means you're sexy and your ride is sporty. But Before we get there, Sophie releases their first album entitled Product. The album was released at first as singles with songs like I don't even know how to say. I mean, it's just a bunch of MSM. I'll just say that. Visey, Love, and Just Like We Never Said Goodbye. You know, the sound is just incredible, and if you've never listened to any of Sophie's work, you've definitely felt the presence of one of the early pioneers of hyperpop by now. Apart from vocals, Sophie primarily uses the Ableton program for live sequencing, and Sophie creates synthesized sounds from the elementary waveforms by using the mono machine, eschewing the use of samples. Many say her sounds resemble balloons, latex, bubbles, metal, plastic, elastic, all very much products.
I'd concur.
I was listening to her before recording this, and my sister is like, this is the wettest sounding music I've ever heard. It's like really wet. It's really interesting because Sophie typically, you know, makes this stuff as a challenge, I think, to gender. And this is even felt more because the use of pitching up vocals happens a lot in their music and is very common in hyperpop. And the artistry isn't just felt in the sounds, but the imagery as well, because the single art that were leading up to the album Product depicted singular objects made out of plastic, again playing with the idea of what's real, what's synthesized, what is product. But anyway, back to Charlie. Now it's 2016, and her Vroom Vroom EP releases, and as stated before, it is huge. Sophie accompanies Charlie on a tour and worked with Charlie on many more songs, like After the After Party, and her mixtape, Number One Angel, and Pop 2. Sophie, during this time, also worked a lot with Cashmere Cat on his album 9, so Sophie is all over the radio everywhere now, but they still haven't released an album in 2 years, so it's time for something new. In 2017, Sophie releases the song It's Okay to Cry, and along with it, officially comes out as a trans woman. It was the first time their real voice and image are being used, and it's one of the most beautiful songs ever written. It's emotional, it's comforting, and of course, featuring angelic and big synths, as you can imagine. Later that year, Sophie releases another single, Pony Boy, which is hard as fuck. It is so good. The metallic sounds really shine through here, and it pairs really well with the third single released early in 2018, entitled Face Shopping. And both had self-directed...
These names, dude.
They're really good.
Didn't we talk about this like 2 seasons ago? Like, I'm sick of nouns as names for bands. I'm sick of nouns as names. I'm sick of nouns, guttural sounds, as names for songs.
Pony Boy? You gotta listen to Pony Boy and then tell me how you feel, though.
Okay.
So both of these singles had self-directed music videos, and Face Shopping is pretty disturbing. It's like a CGI Sophie face, and it morphs in ways only computers can, make, and everything looks plastic. But then later that year, in 2018, Sophie releases their second album, Oil of Every Pearl's Uninsides, which is a homophone phrase for I love every person's insides. It features all the singles and more. Like I said, It's Okay to Cry. It's a very emotional opener, and the transition from that to Pony Boy gives me like whiplash every time. It is very jarring, but very good, and that's the album. One moment you're listening to one of the most gritty drums, and then you hear the voice of an angel. Like, that's kind of the duality. But also that same year, it's rumored that Sophie is working with Lady Gaga, to which
shit.
They replied, yes, I mean, whatever, I work on a lot of different things. If it comes out, then it's cool. You can never tell, but she's a really cool person.
Damn.
I mean, whatever. It's Lady Gaga. Like, come on. Sophie had indeed been working with Lady Gaga and Charlie XCX, again, along with Kim Petras, BB Borelli, and Vince Staples. Yeah, Right is a song by Vince Staples, and it's featured on his album Big Fish Theory, released also in 2018. And it has the beat to Face Shopping. And the fact that there is a Kendrick Lamar feature on a Sophie beat floors me every time that I think about it. It's amazing. And it's, really good song, really good album. And then at the 61st Annual Grammys, Oil of Every Pearl's Insides was nominated for Best Dance Electronic Album. And Sophie made history as both one of the first openly trans artists to be nominated in this category and one of the 3 first openly trans women to be nominated for a Grammy. During a red carpet interview at the ceremony, Sophie confirmed work on a remix album of Oil of Every Pearl's Uninsides. That remix album was released the following year on July 29th, 2019, and it's kind of like a DJ set, appropriately titled the Non-Stop Remix. That was what I was listening to, and it literally is just like no silence. It just keeps going. And it's like an hour and a half long.
My brain is not like that.
But then Sophie later releases a single in 2020, collaborating with artist Jimmy Edgar on the song Metal. And finally, Sophie released her last single, Unisil, on January 28th, 2021. Again, featuring a simple plastic object as its cover. It's energetic, it's noisy, it's sexy, and the last that we would ever hear from Sophie. Pink News wrote on her work, Sophie's mix of industrial percussive clangs and soulful, elegant vocals, whether their own or someone else's, create a disparity of beauty and brutalism, mirroring life as a queer minority in the highly commodified world of today. Which again, all the album covers, all the music videos, all the sounds, I think it really reflects that. Sadly, on the early morning of January 30th, 2021, in Athens, Greece, Sophie fell to their death while climbing a ladder to see the first full moon of the year.
There's probably bad urban planning in Athens because we've been living there as a civilization for 3,000 years.
Right. Like, the balcony just didn't have a railing, so...
Well, who
just
designed stuff like that?
Old Greek people, like, from long ago.
A balcony 13 stories up, or three stories up, 50 feet off the ground, no railing.
Yeah.
And then no access to the back of the building to then save whoever falls. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
This news broke me. It still hurts because of the time.
That did hurt. I remember that day.
I didn't know.
Year, so, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know the cause. Like, I just assumed the worst when they fell. Mm-hmm. And I know that I was not the only one really hurt by this. Charlie XCX, of course, took the news very hard. Rihanna, Sam Smith, Vince Staples, Christine and the Queens, A.G. Cook, they all expressed their condolences. And Sophie's brother made an announcement that he would try and release music posthumously. On June 16th of 2021, a minor planet named 1980 RE1 was renamed Sophie Xeon in their honor. So Sophie has a planet.
Can we see it? Like, can you ever see this planet?
I think there's an image of it that a telescope took. I don't know if the telescopes that we'd have access to would be able to see it.
If the Walmart telescopes we have access to.
I don't think so. I think that, for me, the first full moon of the year is Sophie's moon, because that's what they were trying to see, and I definitely will be looking out for it. It is on January 6th this year. Not a great date, but no. Sophie was an inspiration whose presence I think will be felt in the music world, in the world in general, for decades. Mm-hmm. And I can only hope that they continue to influence people and move people as their life has for me. And if we ever hear, the music that Sophie's brother has, that'd be really great. But...
Oh, so he still hasn't dropped it?
No. But I understand that, I know I wouldn't want my music leaked if I was not here anymore to say whether it was okay. You can listen to it. You can listen to it, but do not put it out for just anybody to hear. That's my take on it. But that is Sophie Xeon. I think that they will be very missed as, as the years go on. And, they made great work.
Post my punk phase, there wasn't other music that was speaking to me in that same way, but listening to Sophie's music definitely brought me back to my Berlin punk phase.
Mm-hmm.
My, 6-month Berlin punk phase
in
high school. So for that, I really appreciate her. What have we had this season? We've had a girl getting set on fire. I was going to subtitle this season Famines and Fires anyway. Sophie falling from this thing. Robin Williams committed suicide. Bathtubs. Oh my god! Did we not talk about Aaron Carter also dying in a bathtub shortly after we recorded our Whitney episode?
I didn't know that Aaron Carter died, so I'll be honest.
Nathan! He went on live, did a bunch of whippets. His baby mama commented on the live, "You're gonna die like that," and then he died 2 days later in his bathtub after doing a bunch of whippets. Be careful, kids. And he had left the jets on, so it had started to melt his body by the time the cops got there. And the night he died, the cops did a wellness check and he told them to go away. There's going to be definitely more developments. And their sister had also died of an overdose. But I guess that's all I have to say. Happy New Year, everyone. Enjoy
New Year.
whatever holiday
Yeah.
you celebrated. Oh my god, that was so dark. I just ended that so dark.
We don't have to end like that. Is this the last episode of the season, or do we have 2 more?
We have 2 more. Remember, on Tuesdays, we talk ghosts. See you next time.
Bye.